First of all, Ibn Abdul Wahhab declared that he discovered the meaning of Tauhid, and that no one else in his era and no other scholars understood its meaning. Wait, what? Yes, you heard me right. He says, I will tell you about myself. I swear by Allah, the one besides whom there is no deity worthy of worship. I sought knowledge, and those who knew me thought that I had understanding. But at that time, I did not know the meaning of La ilaha illallah, nor did I know the religion of Islam before this blessing that Allah bestowed on me. Likewise, none of my teachers knew it. Whoever among the scholars of al-Adid claims that they knew the meaning of La ilaha illallah or understood the meaning of Islam before this time, or whoever claims that one of their teachers knew it, has lied, fabricated, deceived the people, and praised themselves for something they do not possess. Imagine how arrogant you have to be to think that no one in the world understands La ilaha illallah or understands Islam until you come along. But Ibn Abdul Wahhab swears by Allah that this is the case for him. He also implies that even before his time, no one really understood Tauhid, because he says that none of his teachers knew the meaning of Tauhid either. Remember, Ibn Abdul Wahhab's teachers were in cities like Mecca and Medina. So he's saying that the scholars in Mecca and Medina also didn't understand La ilaha illallah. Furthermore, if he thought that his own teachers were ignorant in knowing the Shahada, i.e. scholars who were Hanbalis like him and were equally opposed to Istighatha like him and saint veneration like him, what do you think he thought of non-Hanbalis outside of his region, scholars in the rest of the Muslim world? He thought they were even more ignorant. This is why he says, this shirk that Allah has mentioned has today spread across the eastern and western parts of the earth, except for the estranged ghuraba mentioned in the hadith, and they are very few in number. He also says, indeed, Islam today is estranged, gharib, and most people cannot distinguish between it and disbelief. This is the kind of ruin from which there is no hope of success. As far as Ibn Abdul Wahhab is concerned, the entire globe, from east to west, from Muslim lands to non-Muslim lands, is drowning in shirk. But thankfully, he's that sole beacon of light who actually understands Tauhid, who can bring guidance to the whole world. Now, Wahhabi apologists will claim that I am uncharitably reading Ibn Abdul Wahhab's statement, but consider the words of Abdurrahman ibn Hassan. Abdurrahman was the grandson of Ibn Abdul Wahhab and was the highest ranking Wahhabi religious authority during his lifetime. He was raised and educated directly by Ibn Abdul Wahhab and wrote the first commentary of Ibn Abdul Wahhab's Kitab al-Tawhid, known as Fath al-Majid. Abdurrahman says, around the 10th century and beyond, there was no one among the scholars who spoke about Tawhid, called to it, recognized this shirk, or prohibited it until Allah raised up Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. Listen closely. He's saying there was not a single scholar anywhere in the world who spoke about Tawheed and shirk until Allah blessed all of creation with Ibn Abdul Wahhab. Abdurrahman continues, Ibn Abdul Wahhab traveled to Basra, then to Ahsa and the two holy cities, Mecca and Medina, hoping to find someone who could help him with what he had understood of the religion of Islam. However, he found no one. All of them approved the customs and practices that most people followed in these later centuries up until the middle of the 12th century, meaning after Ibn Abdul Wahhab came to teach them. It's not known that anyone there called for Tawheed in worship or denied the shirk that contradicts it. In fact, they believed it was permissible or even recommended. This widespread affliction involved the worship of idols of all sorts, graves, jinn, trees, and stones in all the villages, cities, deserts, among other places. They continued in this state until the 12th century, which is when Ibn Abdul Wahhab started his dawah. And just to make sure we got the point, Ibn Abdul Wahhab's grandson Abdurrahman concludes, it is not known that any scholar during the time of our Shaykh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, may Allah have mercy on him, or before his time, denied shirk in uluhiyah or called people to worship Allah alone. Ibn Abdul Wahhab apologists will try to deny that their Shaykh claimed to be the only one to understand Tauhid. But as we see, here is his grandson saying exactly this. And Abdurrahman wasn't a random grandson of Ibn Abdul Wahhab. He not only studied directly with his grandfather, he was raised by his grandfather and was his closest student. So again, let it sink in that someone could ever claim to be the only person in the whole world who understands La ilaha illallah. This is the type of delusional arrogance that defines Ibn Abdul Wahhab and his deviant teachings.